Ladies and gentlemen, I just read Manflayer by Josh Reynolds and wow, it's wild! After the events of Clone Lord, Fabius has gone on a little vacation to the dark city of Kamara, where he made some new friends. And with friends, I of course mean that an entire homunculi coven now wants him dead. Manflayer is the glorious finale of our favorite swag lord, who seemingly has finally pissed off too many people for even him to handle. Eidolon and the Phoenix Enclave, Abaddon and the Black Legion, Hexamarches and the 13 Scars Coven, Fulgrim and even Slaanesh herself. There are too many enemies and too little Fabius. The question is not so much if Fabius can win this fight, but more so how he can minimize the losses. What can be salvaged and what dark corners will Fabius be forced into? If you want to know that, you'll have to give Manflayer a read. The best thing about this novel by far is how much of an insane creature feature it is. From dozens of weird, quirky, insane characters, to wondrous environments. From crazy magics to nightmarish fleshcrafts. There are demons of every color, Drukhari, Harlequins, every Emperor's Children unit you can think of. Plenty of new Chaos Apothecaries. Reynolds really let his imagination run wild for this novel. There are haunted ruins in which shamanistic cults of the Glandhounds have made their home. There's an apothecary with a bird fetish, who has built an intergalactic bird museum and whose work specializes in attaching wings to whatever he can find. There are Drukhari weapons of mass destruction that can literally make mountains disappear in thin air. We get to see Fulgrim's horrifying recreation of chemos and so much more. Reynolds has always been excellent at inventing marvelous monsters and excellent environments, but this book is probably the best showcase of that. The novel is also a lot more visceral and gruesome than the other two. I suppose that is what you can expect from a book about Drukhari and the Third Legion, but yeah, there is noticeably more gore and horror in this book. I think it worked well for this book as it added to the entire crazy clown fiesta that is going on in the novel, but it's not for the squeamish readers. This novel also again has a central theme. The melancholic primogenitor was all about facing past mistakes and repenting for them. The hopeful clone lord was all about trying to rebuild, to try again to make a better tomorrow, but Manflayer is way more fatalistic, much more wrathful. It has a lot of Last Stand vibes, or to quote Horace, "It is time to watch the galaxy burn." After finishing the trilogy, I also really have to praise Reynolds for the titles of the books, as they describe these vibes perfectly. One thing I really liked about Manflayer in particular as well, is how Reynolds really goes out of his way to give a satisfying end to all the characters, and all the arcs he has created throughout the trilogy. It is very satisfying from a narrative point of view to see everything come together, to see the consequences of each character's actions, and to see all the setup pay off. In combination with the fatalistic theme, I get a lot of Siege of Terra vibes from this novel. Furthermore, the excellent writing of the previous two books is also present in this one. The dialogue is once again excellent, the characters are deep, and there are a lot of great interactions even between side characters. There's some funny humor that doesn't distract from the plot, there's some action, but it definitely isn't boulder porn. Basically, if you like Reynolds' style, then you will definitely like this book. The one flaw that this book does suffer from though, is that while it creates a very cool ending for almost every character, it fails to do this for Hexamarches and Fabius. Their feud does not end with something ridiculously stupid, or something that will make you scream at the book, but it's just really plain? After all of the heroic last stands, Pyrrhic victories, wild fight scenes, schemes upon schemes and such, I had high expectations for their show-off, but it kinda just ended? I won't spoiler how, but it was a bit of a disappointment in my opinion. That being said, I think the epilogue more than makes up for it. It shows us some more really cool world building and ties up the final loose ends. But more than that, it also adds a rather wild twist to Fabius' character and even forms the perfect setup for a rivalry with Belisarius Cawl. A rivalry which will finally be explored soon in Guy Haley's Gene Fodder. So yeah, what else can I give this novel but 5 out of 5 bad parents. Manflayer is a very epic finale to the wild tale of Fabius Bile. It brings a satisfying conclusion to every arc and a proper send-off to the characters whose final day is upon them. The world building is mind-blowingly crazy, which I mean in the best way. Even if this wasn't such a banger, it would be a must-read for Emperor's Children and Chaos Space Marine fans alone, but with how much of a banger it is, I really can recommend this trilogy to anyone. Also, before I forget to mention this, the Bile Omnibus also contains some short stories. Reviews for these, alongside some other Slaaneshi themed stories, can be found for free on the Patreon, since I don't really see the point in making a separate video for every short story. But yeah, for now, that's all I got for you today. If you like the content, please consider subscribing or joining us on Patreon. Otherwise, have a nice evening, and don't forget your nighty prayers to, oh well, Slaanesh.